What's going on, everybody? Mark Conway from MHN for the very last time. And we are doing our review of the 2023 Halloween Horror Nights. And I'm, of course, with my partner in crime, Zachary Smith.
Yo.
I'm sure everybody that's noticed has been watching this channel that over the last couple months, there's been less and less videos. And we as an entire team have decided to go ahead and separate ways. I think that we've want different things and we've moved on. Brandon has actually started his own channel, which is great.
Brandon's Monster Morgue.
Thank you. Definitely go and check out his channel. It's super awesome. We'll put all the information below.
Link will be below in the description.
Yeah, really he gets more into the Tales from the Crypt reviews and a little bit more about Simpsons and really more of what Brandon wanted to talk about. And I think that that's overall what the big thing about the big us moving on is we all wanted different things. We all wanted different things. We always wanted to do different things, and I think that Brandon's getting what he wants when it comes to the YouTube audience. He really...
So me and Mark are going to start a whole new channel. We're going to continue to do a podcast, and we're going to dedicate it to the horror community. We're going to call it the Horror Community Podcast, and we're dedicating it just strictly to interviewing people. We'll continue to do these Horror Night reviews every year. We did this every year, so we figured, all right, last minute, this would be a good way to announce everything. So that's why we're doing this now. So we're gonna start a new channel that'll be up sometime in February. We're going through like a move right now, like an actual move to another part of the country. So that's why we're not doing much.
Brandon will be remaining in Chicago. This is definitely, he moved out from upstate New York and he found a home and he found a real purpose and a place in Chicago, and he wants to stay there, which is also part of the reason why we are separating from each other as well. But I think it's time to move on and try our own thing. Absolutely.
A lot of life changes.
This has been a lot of things. MHN has been a huge part of my life for the better half of 5 years.
About 4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years. So a lot of things have happened. A lot of great things have happened during that time. I met my fiance, literally as we were filming episode 1 of Living Nightmares, maybe a couple weeks after that, I was chatting with her. So everything, I met her during that time. Zach and I became the best of friends. He's going to be my best man one of my best men at my wedding. I mean, I consider him one of my closest friends, if not my best friend / younger brother. So, built a fortitude of a friendship that's been around for almost a decade. And we've accomplished so much. We did things that we never thought were possible. We filmed things. We got a podcast going and talked to some amazing people that we never thought that we'd be talking to. People that worked on major films and, big people in the haunt industry, paranormal investigators, podcasters that we've had a fucking ball with, and Zach and I have laughed through it, and we had some great times with Brandon and David on the podcast. We've had a lot of different things that evolved and changed. I loved doing the Screaming Room. The Screaming Room was a fucking ball. I was watching a couple episodes the other day on it, all the Halloween things we did and all the films, and I'm very proud of the work that we've accomplished. And I've learned a lot. And I've also learned a lot of what I've learned. I've learned what I'm capable of. Because there were things that I never thought that I'd be able to negotiate, things that we never thought that we'd be able to afford to do, and it honed my craft as a entertainer, as a podcaster, as an actor, because it's exactly what we are. And I'm extremely thankful for all the wonderful things, and it's all been because of you guys. You guys have been watching all of our great content, and then also, and then another thing, we'll be hanging on to Horror Fact of the Day, and I, and I can announce it here when we get the new channel up. I'm gonna do it again. It'll probably be exclusively on TikTok because it's mainly for there, but that show was too much fucking fun to do. I enjoyed the shit out of it, and it has been a privilege. It's been a privilege to bring you entertainment on this channel. It really has. And I've learned a lot as an individual, and I made some great friends, and I made some great work, and and obviously this is ending in a different way that we originally thought, but things evolve. Things evolve. People change. Things change, but that doesn't take away the friendships and the good times and the great times that I had on this channel, because there was a lot of great times, and I'd like to think that we laughed way more than we cried or got pissed off or upset or stressed out. And, there's plenty of stories that we had that, but it was great, and we did it all for you guys. We did a little bit for ourselves, but just a little bit for ourselves. We did it for our own amusement. Trust me, there were plenty of things that we did for our own amusement. On the podcast and other shows, but it was a fun ride. And I'm very happy to. But all rides need to come to an end. So I'm very happy. Zach, I want you to have the opportunity to say some stuff as well on this journey that you and I have been on for the past 9 years as friends, and then 5 years as partners in this business.
Yeah, let's see. I've known you since 2014 now?
Yep, I showed up on your senior.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, that's the one and only fucking time he was on time.
That's the first line of his.
Showed up early too. I couldn't believe it.
That's gonna be the first line of his best man speech. Anyway.
Yeah, no shit. But yeah, no, it's been a hell of a 5 years. I've learned to do things that I never thought I was even capable of. Like episode 4 of Living Nightmares really showed me how possible it was to do good quality content with the right people as long as your heart is in it. That was one of the most stressful things any of us have ever made in our lives. And the fact that it made it to completion and turned out as well as it did is nothing short of a miracle, and just it really boosted my confidence, and I believe it boosted a lot of people's confidence as well. I talk with Brandon about it every now and then. Like, we look at other people's content and we go, if we can fucking do that with all the shit we had to pull, why the fuck couldn't you? I face it a little bit more aggressively than he does, but that's besides the point. But yeah, it's been great, but I'm looking forward to starting this new chapter of my life and just moving on and seeing what happens. So, yeah.
On to greener pastures and greater adventures. And I'll say that too, and I'll add on to that is that I'm very much looking forward to our next adventure. In Florida. It's going to be a new environment. It's going to be new things, new challenges.
It'll be warm.
It'll be that too.
And 40 degrees right now, and I hate it.
And it's 80 degrees there. And I think that this is an opportunity for us to put our best foot forward and really, learn the things that we learned and take the relationships that we have and make the best of the future. Which I'm always excited. Like that line in Night of the Museum with Robin Williams, and he says, "I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to do tomorrow," and he returns him and says, "How exciting!" And that's how I feel about it. So before we get this whole thing kicked off with our normal review, I just wanted to give our overall impressions of this year. So Zach, kick that off for us, and then I'll give mine.
Meh.
You want to go a little bit longer than meh?
I got nothing else.
I've repeated this story 1,000 times, but I'll make it brief for the sake of this explanation. Is that I've been doing this since 2009 on and off, and I've seen a lot of years that were really good, and I've seen a lot of years that I affectionately call rebuilding years, where they try new things and it's trying to move in a different direction. This was definitely a rebuilding year. They were trying some really cool new things, like 3 things in particular. One were video screens that were kind of, shadows in certain parts. They did it in the scare zones. They did it in houses. They also did a lot more incorporation with animatronics and LED lights. There was one house where they had a lot of LEDs on tombstones, and they were trying that. And also something cool that Zach actually spotted at first, and then I started to see it, which was the mirror technique. Zach, you want to explain the mirror real quick?
So you're walking, let's say, a kind of narrow but long room, and it's very symmetrical and identical on both sides, there'll be a tiny pillar like right here, and then a mirror right here reflecting things back at you, but you don't think it's a mirror. You think it's just more stuff going further that way. And then someone will pop out from behind this tiny pillar and go back in and completely disappear. And you go, hold up, what the fuck? And then I'm just like, wait. I look around it, and then I look behind it, and it's a fucking mirror. All right, good on you.
Yeah.
Good on you.
That was definitely new. I've never seen that. I never saw that.
Neither have I.
Yeah. So, and actually, I've never seen that in any haunted house ever. So I mean, that was more attributed to like fun house shit. Like the mirror tricks. But to give my perspective, it's pretty in line with Zach. I think that the houses and, well, the scare zones by and large were very meh, with the exception of one. We'll get into that. With the houses, it went from meh to okay. To just okay. I wouldn't say that any of the houses were necessarily bad. I don't know, not necessarily bad, but like just kind of very forgettable. I think most of this year, by and large, was forgettable. There's only a handful of things that I actually remember specifically, and that's kind of it. It's just kind of a rebuilding year. Yeah, this reminded me very much of, I don't know what the year was, but I know what the number was. It was Halloween Horror Nights 21, and it was just after the 20th anniversary, which is a big high, and it was kind of It was very forgettable. Had a kind of a bullshit mascot. It was the lucky number 21, and it was kind of a casino theme. It was fucking lame, honestly. And it was just not a lot of stuff going on. It was just kind of So we'll go ahead and we'll kick this bad boy off with the houses. Oh, this is important to discuss. Zach already knows where I'm going with this. The lines. We need to talk. We need to fucking. We won't be honest as reviewers if we didn't talk about this. This shit's gotten out of fucking control. Like it's out of control. It is seriously out of fucking control. Like I don't know what the fuck is going on. There's a lot of there's a lot of fucking like empty space here.
Yeah, there's a reason for that.
Normally there's another person here, but unfortunately Sarah was busy today. She couldn't join, but she was here along with a couple of other of her friends that came with. Yeah, the lines are out of fucking control. It's, and I don't know what to, like, I don't have an intelligent solution to provide or even advise in this situation, except maybe buying the fast passes, but we'll get to that in a second. It just gotten out of control. And to give you an idea about how badly it's gotten out of control is that we got to the park on Friday. And we were going back and forth about buying the fast passes, because I remember that we were originally going to buy them beforehand, but they apparently sold out online for Friday night. So we went, fuck, we're just going to have to bite the bullet, and then we're going to go there. And then if we need the second night to go in all the houses to review them, so fucking be it. And we get to the place, and Zach remembers the numbers better than I do. What were the numbers of when we walked in on that Friday? For the whole time, what were the numbers for them?
So, if you want to buy the Fast Pass for the whole day on Friday, it's $200. If you want it on Saturday, it's like $220 or $250 or some bullshit number like that. Overpriced. Unnecessarily overpriced. Way too fucking expensive. No. Just no. Here's the thing, though. This is the way around it. If you go in the day of and you buy the Fast Pass that starts at 11 o'clock, it's essentially half off. So it's $100. Or 120 and 30. Mind you, there's tax involved in that, so it's even more pricey than what I'm saying right now, which is annoying as shit. But that's your price range. This is for Florida, mind you. We don't know California or the ones in any other countries or states, so just, yes.
Exactly, 110%. And just to give you an idea of time and how outrageous and ridiculous the whole waiting of lines for houses have become, we, from the hours of 7 o'clock till 11 o'clock, we arrived at 7, and our fast passes don't kick in until 11. Be mindful, I also knew that they did that because I knew from years before. They actually even did that in years before for actually purchasing tickets they would give you discounts on ticket prices if you showed up after 11. Like the actual ticket, not just the fast passes, but the tickets themselves. The they may or may not do that. I have no idea if they still do that. But from 7 to 11, we went in 3 houses. 3. And by the way, they weren't even the main houses. I think maybe we did one of the main houses. Maybe.
Nope.
No, we didn't even do that. We just did the regular off. Jesus. So that's how long the wait times. And this is what happens when you engage the fast passes. We went in 7 houses from the time of 11 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. Because we were half an hour short. That's how fast the fast passes are.
For the first time ever, we did all houses in one night. I couldn't believe it.
It was the longest line that we waited in with the fast passes was The Last of Us, and that was approximately about 20 minutes. I timed it. The rest of them were walkthrough. It took you longer to walk through the fucking line in the fast passes than it actually took you to wait in line. And be mindful, The Last of Us at that point was an hour and 20 minutes for a regular standing room. And it was 20 minutes for a fast pass. That's also the reason why they raised the prices of those things, because in years past, they made them cheaper, but it kind of became a situation where they weren't fast passes anymore. They were like less passes.
You were just buying tickets for 2 different lines, essentially.
More or less, yeah. The fast passes had gotten so, reasonable or cheap that it totally got away from the reason why you have fast passes, which is to get past the lines. So I think that at some point towards the end of the night, and this is information from my cousin Holly, who works for a company that's associated with Universal. I won't say the company for her own protection and personal stuff, but she does a lot of business with them. She gets free tickets to Halloween Horror Nights. And she said that, a couple years ago they had, and this was actually maybe even before we started to go, they had tried to lower the price of them. And then it had basically become a situation where the lines just shifted. And the fast pass line was longer than the regular line towards the end of the night. And there was virtually no point at that point. So it's come down to that old adage of being an adult. What would you rather spend, your time or your money? If you can, spend your money. If you can't, then you got to spend your time. That's the unfortunate part about all of this, but it is what it is. Any other final thoughts on the prices or anything else, Zach?
I need more money.
Yeah, don't we all? Don't we all? So, all right, let's kick this off and go into the haunted houses. Again, a lot of these are forgettable. Let's go to Blood Moon, Dark Offerings. Colonial era villagers begin to worship the moon, hunting down any non-followers. Try not to become part of their grisly offerings. Zach?
The best part about this was the entrance and seeing the Blood Moon in person. Everything else was kind of annoying because you're just walking through this house. You have random cultists popping out of walls and stuff. They all kind of look the same. But the thing that bugs me is they have, I guess, recorders and, speakers and stuff just placed all over the place. And it's just on loop repeating, kill them, sacrifice them, so on and so forth. And it's just so meh. Like, you have this cool opening right here. You're walking in to a blood moon. And then, bam, I forgot what the hell. Everything after that is just a blur.
It got kind of ridiculous for me because they kept saying, kill them, sacrifice them. And eventually I'm like, sacrifice them to who? You got to give me more details, boss. Like, you got to give me more. I'll be happy to sacrifice them. I really will. But you got to give me more details on who and what and where and when and why.
You had way more fun than I did.
No. I honestly, man. All right, 2 of my biggest criticisms, and I'll leave it at that with this house, is a perfect example of this. 1, their actors are restricted far too much by sound cues. And when it's always sound cues that they have to come out, and lighting cues as well. So they have to come out at this right time, opposed to other haunted houses when the actor chooses to come out. And I think that that's something that's actually hurting Halloween Horror Nights overall, is they rely too much on sound cues, and they don't have the freedom that the actors in the scare zones have. And that's taken away. And that's what was working for Hollow Scream. We also went to Hollow Scream and checked out the SeaWorld stuff. Overall, pretty good. I think they're still working on some of the bugs, but that's the one thing that they're doing well is they have actors that have freedom. There was one house that I had a little bit of fun with one of the actors, but part of the fun of any kind of haunted house is the actors being able to improvise and be like, "Hey, you in the blue shirt, stop fucking around." It's that kind of fun that it was Raz who said this. Like, if we can't scare you, and he was a haunted house guy that we had on the podcast. If we can't scare you, let's at least entertain you. Because you can't scare Zach and me anymore. Like, we're all desensitized. Especially Zach. Can't scare Zach at all. He's completely desensitized to all this shit. But apparently desensitized to anything at this point. Oh, shut up. I'm going to miss part of this. Anyway, I think that they don't allow the actors to really be involved and really participate in having an interaction, because there's some people that you can really scare and there's some people that have a huge smile on their face like Zach. So you got to be able to improvise and not be restricted. And my other criticism is that it seems like, and I don't know if it's true, but it seems like they're using the same layouts from previous houses and they're just slapping a new coat of paint on it. And unconsciously, when I go into the house, I'm like, kind of already did this. I kind of feel like it's the same shit. And that house was a replacement of a house that we really didn't like, which was the speakeasy vampire witches bullshit that we just did not care for in the previous year. It was one of the worst houses of that year. And it just feels like it's kind of just the same bullshit.
Yep.
But I think, yeah, that was, I mean, the only two positives I think were the church scene, because I'm always a sucker for that, where everybody's hood was up, and then also the bell tower guy was kind of cool. But besides that, very, very forgettable.
All right.
Zach?
What's next?
And Zach's already moved on. Zach's already moved on. All right. Here, we actually have one that both of us actually liked, which was The Exorcist. The two missing girls have been found with no memory of what happened, but wherever they went, the ultimate evil has returned with them.
So this was a very pleasant surprise for me because it's based off the new movie, and I don't even think at the time of us seeing this, the movie was even out yet. I don't even know if it's out now.
I don't believe so.
I know it comes out soon, sometime within the next week, 2, maybe month. I don't know. But I was pleasantly surprised with this house. This is my second favorite house of the year because of its atmosphere. It was spooky and actually creepy. I'm like, we're doing a damn good job here. Good for you guys.
I actually really dug it as well. And one specific memory I have from this was there was a scene when the girls are back to back and they're being exorcised. And I walked past one of the actresses and she looked directly at me. And like we were eye to eye with eye contact. She did not break for a second. And it became like kind of a game of tennis, between two different actors. And I'm like, you're really committing to this, and you're doing very, very well. And I was very impressed. Because she knew like what I was doing. And yet she still stuck with it. Because she knew I wasn't gonna stop looking directly in her eyes. When she looked directly at me, and she did it in character as a possessed person, and I'm like, this is fucking eerie. It's very, the whole overall feel was eeriness and unsettledness. It was very clear. I think Sarah was a little disappointed that it wasn't more of the original movie and it was more of the remake. She has a lot of criticisms on remakes, which I respect.
It's a sequel to the original, so
sure. But that being said, the overall feeling was very eerie and off-putting. Not as off-putting as another house that I had for me, but it was definitely, the performances were solid. The scenery was very on topic. The scares were pretty good, but it made you feel off kiltered. You're like, I This house and another house, it felt like that fucking meme from Trailer Park Boys, with the guy with the glasses. Like, something fucked up here. It's fucking eerie. The and it felt like that, and I'm like, well, they did a really good job with this. I like what's going on here. This is good shit.
Yeah, the Exorcist one was a really good one.
And again, this is where the unfortunate part is that you notice that we're not saying things that we've said in previous years, like this is like fucking awesome and knock my socks off. This is the ceiling, unfortunately. With this year, it doesn't go past really good. Like, it doesn't go past like, holy fuck, that was amazing, and I'm so blown away, and it just didn't happen this year.
Sadly.
Next
one.
The one that a lot of people were looking forward to and mixed opinions about, Stranger Things, Netflix. Band together with your squad to resist Veronica's gruesome curse as you take on the scariest seasons of Stranger Things yet. All right.
I was so bored
in
this house. Like, I was looking forward to it. I wanted to see a Demogorgon or something. Apparently there was one there. I didn't fucking see it. But the biggest complaint I have about this house is it was so fucking empty. It feels like.
Yeah.
Nothing happened.
Yeah, there was a huge section of that fucking emptiness, which seemed ridiculously lazy. It was, that portion of the house was lazy. It was fucking lazy. And that's what the disappointment part is, because a lot of people waited in line for this. Now, granted, I don't know anything about the house. I'm sorry, anything about the show. I've watched a few episodes of the show. I haven't really committed to the show. Sarah knew a lot about the show. She seemed to enjoy it, but she shared the same criticisms. I enjoyed it just for what it was at face value, because I had no horse in the race. I did not. So there were parts of it I enjoyed. I did enjoy the Metallica portion, because Zach and I were having fun.
I would have liked that scene a lot better if he was actually playing it on the guitar.
I thought he was playing it on the guitar.
They were just walking around like.
I was
just like, this is. It's cool to hear Metallica in a haunted house, but.
Honestly, Zach and I think, had more fun than the actors who were having fun jamming to that in the midst of a hurricane. Although
it's not a hurricane.
What is it? What the fuck is it?
They're in the fucking dream realm or whatever, and it's a bunch of demon bats attacking. It's supposed to be a distraction.
Oh, okay, all right, fair enough. But there were a few cool effects. Like the hole in the wall, and then the sheets going up. I thought that was cool. I mean, overall, it got, some of the atmospheric things from what I remember, the few things there, but I know that a lot of Stranger Things fans had a lot of criticisms about it.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know what else to say about it, because I don't know the show.
It's fine, Mark. It wasn't a good one. It was very disappointing.
Fair enough. Speaking of kind of disappointing and kind of whatever, Dueling Dragons, Choose Your Fate. Two powerful warlocks invade Merlin's castle and turn into dragons of fire and ice. Now you must choose a path. Now, all right, here's what I will say about this. I did enjoy this house for what it was, but the selling point of the house was choosing your own adventure, and that was fucking lame. Lame, fucking lame. You just, and in case anybody, you can switch to the wide camera. Anybody in the cheap seats, it was fucking lame. It was the stupidest fucking thing. And Zach and I were, you know what? When Zach and I were actually fucking excited about this, we were like, "Oh, you get to choose your own fate," and like, there's two different versions of the house, and then we got the opportunity to go in there again, and we're like, "Fuck it, we don't want to wait in the line again because it's fucking stupid."
Yeah, you get to the very end of the house, and it's like, oh, here we go, and you go to the left or you go to the right. We took the fire path because fire. Yes, you win, you leave. What?
And apparently, the wizard was saying some shit. The wizard was saying some shit, and
sorry.
The wizard was saying, I know he's so fucking upset he can't even switch it. The wizard was saying some shit, but apparently some as Sarah would say, some dumb bitch was talking, and I couldn't hear what the fuck the wizard said. So I don't know what the fuck happened.
All I know is apparently we won. She was so happy. Oh my god! I'm just like, holy fuck. What? Oh, we gotta leave? Fuck.
He wasn't imitating Sarah. He was imitating whatever this crazy bitch was talking about, and she just like would not shut up. So we have no idea what the wizard said. No clue. The overall though, the house being subjective, the house was actually very cool. There's a lot of really good theming going on, and the medieval thing. It was more of a adventure house rather than a horror house necessarily.
It wasn't horror themed, it was more fantasy themed, but they did a lot of cool shit with like fire and ice, especially sound. Like the sound of the ice and stuff was just, ooh, I like this. This is cool. Yeah, third favorite house.
Yeah, the sound effects were really, really cool. I really enjoyed being involved in it. It was a very nerdy house. The you get two nerds here that are like
still awesome.
Yes, I mean, don't get me wrong, still awesome. A lot of fun. Really good sound effects were awesome. The set piece design was fucking great. It was very medieval and very fantasy based. Really, really cool. Just don't if you're gonna go in this house, just go in the house for what it is, which is a fantasy based house. Don't do what Zach and I did, which is put all your chips on finding out, ooh, what's your adventure? And then maybe you can go on it twice and then choose the other path. And yes, fucking lame. Anyway, moving the fuck on.
Moving right along.
I'm becoming Zach now. It made me angry. And it makes me angry thinking about it because it's fucking
welcome to hell.
Yeah. Speaking of boring as fuck, Yeti campground kills. In a 1950s campground, a group of towering, terrifying Yetis are running rampant, ripping apart anyone who gets in their way. Okay, so I'll make this real simple because I think Zach has a few extra things to add on because him and I may have a difference of opinion on this. There were some cool 50s-oriented things, but because it was in the middle of nowhere, you had to really pay attention to like some of the tin signs that had some of the 50s deco. It wasn't as in your face as Bugs was in the previous year, which I think we kind of wanted. We wanted this to be Bugs Part 2 with Yetis. And there was one cool effect with the bodies in the lake that I thought was cool. Yeah. I'm sorry that Sarah missed it, but I think it was really interesting and cool. Overall, I think that the house was very forgettable, and I think that it was mostly empty, to be honest. I remember that house being pretty empty. Like, I didn't see a lot of different actors running around and cool set pieces in the middle of the woods. That was fucking it.
All I remember was that the house exists. That cool scene on the lake with the body in it. That was really cool. I do like that. But other than that, I'm like, what the fuck happened? Why are we in a camp? I thought Yetis were in like the wood, like ice mountains. That's what I was expecting.
Yeah,
I was expecting Ice Mountain Yeti Adventure or something like that. I wanted to be cold. Actually, no, I never want to be cold. But I wanted that feeling, or whatever the hell. If it makes any, that doesn't make any sense.
It made perfect fucking sense. And actually, you know what? Honestly, you want to know why they called it Yeti? Because if they called it what it fucking is, it wouldn't be as marketable, which is this.
Bigfoot?
Yes, this is the Bigfoot house. It's a fucking Bigfoot. It's not a Yeti.
Yeah.
I don't even have anything to add to this.
Yep.
Like, it just fucking forget. That's unfortunately, and now I'm gonna get riled up now because this year overall was fucking forgettable, and I think it pisses me off because of all the issues with the lines. And it's like 10 different versions of Halloween, except at least Halloween was good. It wasn't great, but it was good. And there's a lot of very houses for long periods of wait time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just, they're just fucking far and few between. And yes, this should be called Bigfoot Campground Kills, not Yeti Campground Kills. Because Yetis don't go to fucking campgrounds. Bigfoots go to campgrounds. But Bigfoot apparently isn't that scary. Speaking of kind of whatever, all right, I gotta calm down. I'm a little too.
There can only be one angry person on this podcast.
I know, and Zach's like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that. The speaking of, actually, you know what? This one will piss Zach off. Chucky Ultimate Kill Counts. Chucky is back for the new Gore Fest. Yeah, Gore Fest. He's hijacked his haunted house with a lot of bloody hijinks and trying to survive the ultimate kill count. Yeah. Okay, Zach, you want to take this one?
I don't even remember what. Okay, I remember the beginning of the house because it was this was in the same building slash lot where the Bloomhouse one was last year, so it
Yep.
was a two-parter.
Yep.
The first half I don't remember shit because I don't remember anything happening anything. It was mainly I remember there being a lot of screens. That's
I just remember a lot of screams.
and I don't even know if that's true. I don't even remember if
there were a lot of screams. It was
Okay.
just Chucky on a fucking screen
I
talking
was-
shit.
I was really hoping because last year in the Black Phone house, they had kids that looked like kids, which was amazing. We wondered, how did they pull that off? Did they just get small people to play these really good roles? So I was hoping to see one of two things. Either people like that playing Chucky, or the most ginormous, ridiculous-looking motherfuckers playing Chucky for the joke of it. And we got none of that.
Hold on, Zach. There was another theory that we had. You know it. Say it. Say it.
Oh, what, getting a bunch of midgets?
Yes. Because
It would have worked.
it would have absolutely worked.
I think there were animatronics at Chucky. I don't fucking remember, man.
All right. So I'll take it from here.
Yeah,
So there were in fact animatronics, or at least puppets. They did do a good job with actually getting Chucky down to size. Most of the people that were the full-time actors, there was one mascot Chucky at the very end of the second house. And I will say this, that the second half was better than the first half, and I think that you were the first person to mention that.
I agree.
Yeah, and
I was.
I only remember that we were in a factory where they make them. That's what I remember the most. Whether that was in the first half or the second half, I don't remember.
I'm assuming this is taking more based off the show, which I haven't seen anything Chucky or Child's Play related since The Bride. That's
Wow.
how far that's how out of touch I am.
Yeah, and I think that the second half was definitely better. There's also a guy that was at the very beginning of the second house having fun. And there was an interactive actor that was there. I don't know if you remember him.
Okay, I actually do remember him, and he was cool.
Yeah, he
Don't go in there, woman! Get the fuck off your phone and run the fuck away! What are you doing, lady?
There's fucking dolls in there.
Thank you for pointing him out. I gotta give that guy credit.
Yeah.
He did make me laugh.
And by the way, that's the difference. That's the difference when there's an actor that can improvise and kind of be in the moment versus a fucking sound cue. You notice how we very much love the guy who can improv and do his thing versus the fuckers that are down to sound cues. Overall, yeah, it sucked. It was kind of lame, and the second half was better because you're in a Chucky factory, and there was one really cool scene when the lights went completely fucking out. And then they rose up in a room, and you have nothing but boxes of Chucky good guy dolls. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't. It sounds cool, but I don't remember that at all.
It was one scene out of the entire time, and I'm like, all right, this is. I am a sucker for those type of situations, and they're very cliche in these type of haunted houses, but they do work.
I wish David was there for that one.
Yeah.
He probably would have actually. I hope he would have enjoyed that one.
I don't know, bro. I think he might have had the same criticisms that we had, and I think he might have been even more disappointed, which would have broke my heart.
That's true.
Yeah, because he's the big Chucky leprechaun, doll maker, whatever. It's very,
Any
very
killer that's under 3 feet.
Yeah, he's all over it. But overall, dude, it was pretty fucking lame. Like, and I remember Sarah even walking out. She's like, "Yeah, it was lame." Sarah's pretty honest when it comes to a lot of the houses. She'll tell you how she feels about the houses once they leave.
She'll also get mad and call it bad if she actually got.
Especially animatronics. Oh, she does not like animatronics at all.
I love animatronics.
At all. All right, so. Actually, let's go to a good one, which is Dr. Oddfellow's Twisted Origins. You won't be able to resist going inside the menacing mirage of twisted oddities. The price, your soul to feed his immortal power. I have 2 words for this house. Actually 3. Weird fever dream. This was the circus one. So it was. definitely I walked through it and I'm like this is fucking weird. I don't want to be here anymore. It was like I was like this is, I don't know, I feel fucking uncomfortable here. Like, it wasn't even necessarily scared. It just felt like a weird fever dream, like, and which is a compliment to the house itself, which is, it was really, really good. Had a lot of good effects. The this is also too where I saw some of the LED stuff come out. This is also where I saw the mirror in effect way more than any other houses.
That might have been the first place I noticed it.
Yeah, but overall it was a great house, great theming. It was a New Orleans style, traveling circus, a lot of creepy clowns. But I just remember, and I think I'll remember this forever, which is the overall vibe of it was very unsettling and creepy and very much dreamlike. It had that dream kind of nightmare quality, and you could just hear the fucking circus music just playing, but just slightly off, like to the point where just a lot of this face, just a lot of what the fuck is going on here? It's fucking weird. I don't know where am I? Am I in the Matrix? What the fuck is this place? Just a very, very unsettling, but good on them, especially considering it is in fact the mascot's house. They did a really good job, and they actually took the time to put in some effort. Zach?
I remember walking out there thinking it was okay, but it didn't really do much other than that for me. I just was like, okay, this one wasn't bad. It's better than the other ones we were in. I think that was the last one we went into before we started our fast pass.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I believe so, and yeah, it was a solid house. I didn't think too much of it. It was good, enjoyable, and yeah, that's about it.
Fair enough. I think that both of us liked this next house, which is the Darkest Deal. A blues musician, Pine Straw Spruce. I mean Robert Johnson meets at the crossroad with a diabolical entity known as the Collector. I mean a demon. To make a deal, his soul for a friend. Gotta love that fucking copyright bullshit. They can't say demon. They can't say
Collector.
Robert. Can't say
demon.
Yeah,
whatever the fuck his name was, Robert Johnson.
Yeah, can't say Robert Johnson. I mean to say everything. It's like that fucking Family Guy joke with a Mr. 2000s bar, Reese's, Mises or some shit.
I can't remember all the names, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. But
no, this one was a solid one. I was looking forward to this because there's a lot of cool, unique shit they could do with it. I just wish they had somebody actually, playing the actual guitar and stuff. That would have been cool. Little touches like that are things that I would have loved to have seen and I would have really appreciated. But overall, another solid house. Not a great one, but a solid one.
Yeah, and I think that it actually. Here's two things. One, I think this is a good to okay house if you don't know the legend. I think that knowing the legend does enhance your experience of the situation. Would you agree, Zach? Yeah, I think knowing the whole thing about Robert Johnson, people who don't know, Robert Johnson was a famous blues musician in the 20s, 30s that apparently sold his soul to a demon or the devil himself, depending on the legend you hear, to become the best guitar player ever. And there's a lot of mysterious circumstances around his death, so it kind of played on this. Hold on a second. Jesus.
Oh, I know. No. I will also say this. It does have the easiest to follow story, and that might be because we just know it and know clearly what it's based off of, but that's just an observation I had. But we do have that prior knowledge.
We do. Speaking objectively, though, no, it was a very easy, and actually I would say it was probably as easy as Bugs was to follow. You can clearly see what's going on as time on. Here's what I will say, though, is the makeup in this house was fucking fantastic. In one scene in particular, right when you walk in, there's a vampire demon hybrid thing, and he looked directly at me, and I'm like, that makeup is awesome. That was a awesome version of these demons who are kind of half vampire, half demon, and also too is a lot of them had contacts in, and there was a thing that I saw that I don't know quite how they did it, which was when he's playing and the Collector, the demon or devil, comes to get his soul, his eyes change. his eyes changed from brown to yellow, and like when he gets possessed and he takes so no fucking clue how they did that. No idea. And that innovation was impressive, and that's the type of stuff that they learn in these off years. They try new things and they learn new innovations and new ways. So when they get to the other years when things are really, really fucking good, I would imagine that the last 2 years that we saw were previous years of innovation they learned over the last 5 years before that. So the real good years are probably a couple years of kind of bullshit to learn what works. And in this house, that trick I've never seen before. No idea how they did it. None. No clue. And it was extremely impressive about how they did it. And also, too, they introduced a lot of the LED lights in this. So when you're walking in through a graveyard, all of the names are coming out with LED lights. I've never seen it quite used like that. So that was a new innovation. I think there was a lot more innovations in this house than any of the other houses. And they also did use the mirror in this. But the setting was great. The overall vibe was great. I think this is probably one of my favorite houses, to be honest.
You said it was your favorite of the year.
Yeah, and just really thinking about it and talking it through, it definitely is. It probably is the at least for the original houses, because that's usually how we break it up. This is definitely one of my favorites. So, all right, let's move it on to the last two. The Last of Us. You and your squad must stay silent if you want to survive the clickers. Clickers, yeah. And more as the gritty world of Naughty Dog's video game comes to life. Okay, I'm going to say something very brief about this. I've never played the game, never watched the show. I enjoyed this house. I thought it was really good. I thought the setting was great. I thought that and when you walk in, you're walking into the shit. The like the world, the world is on its way out, and you're in the middle of a fucking firefight. And there's blowing up shit everywhere. You are in that stuff, and even if you don't know the show, you don't know the game, which as I understood, this is way more based on the game. You're gonna have a good time. You're gonna have a good time. You're in the shit. You're like, oh fuck, I'm in some bullshit right now. And then you walk through it, and I think that the theming was great. I think that I think actually, now that I'm thinking about it more, I actually really enjoyed this house. I thought there was a lot of great shit going on in this house. It made me uncomfortable in a lot of great spots. There were some genuinely good scares. The costumes were great. The vibe was great. And even if I don't know, I mean, I know enough. I know about I'm in the gaming world. I play games. It's hard. You can throw a fucking rock and hit somebody in the gaming world that knows this fucking game. It's a very, very famous game. It's become a very famous show. Overall, really good house. And I want to say great house. I really do. I really want to say that this is bordering on great. And I don't know why I'm getting the instinct to not give it to that next level. I don't have a reason why. Maybe it's just the overall year and my original statements about how this has kind of went from in year. But the more I think about it, the more it really was a fantastic themed house, and it almost gets as close as The Haunting of Hill House when it comes to theming and its ability to be close and near and dear to the actual show. So this was pretty fucking good. And I want to put it in great, man. It just there's something just keeping me from putting it in great. I think maybe it's just my thing of saying what I've said throughout this entire thing, which is houses went from to good. But the more I think about it, I think this house is pretty fucking great, actually. So, Zach, I don't know what your thoughts are. You actually played the game, so you know that way more than I know. So, go ahead.
So this is definitely more based off the first game, from what I could tell. You got younger Ellie and Joel's in it, so yeah, it's clearly based off the first fucking game. So when you first enter the house, you're in an old, destroyed, multi-level car garage, and there's a bunch of bandits fighting all over the place. Like, you enter, you look to the right, there's a half-destroyed fucking minivan or car or whatever right there. I'm like, already, set design is already top fucking notch. You know, you walk through there, and then you start running into some of the infected. Now, the early infected you see, I was disappointed with because they looked like, you know those stupid, creepy, cheap old man masks with the long gray hair? That's what they're infected were. You had a few young people in there with, contacts and stuff who did it well, But when those people came, I'm like, what the fuck? If that's what your idea of a clicker is, I'm going to be pissed. Thankfully, they had actual clicker masks and outfits and stuff like that as you progress. And even 2 bloaters, which those costumes looked really fucking good. Like, they were actually full in costume. I'm like, damn, I didn't think they'd do that. Holy shit. So, overall, this is my favorite house because I was really looking forward to them doing something based off a video game. You know, I know in Japan they got the Resident Evil house, and I want to see that one day, because over there, you get one path is Claire, one path is Leon, you got 2 different houses in one house. I want to see that one day, so the fact that we got something, you know, at least in the video game world, because, you know, fucking video game fanatic here, I was happy. I was excited, and I was, for the most part, not disappointed. I wouldn't call it great, but it was definitely, it was fun, it was awesome, and I didn't walk out disappointed.
Sure. I think the only reason it's even great for me is simply because I just don't know the games. I don't know the games, and I don't have anything to relate it to. So seeing that particular house was really quite thing. And then also too is I knew a little bit about how the infection started with the plants and stuff like that, and there were little touches in there of
okay, thank you for the reminder.
Yeah.
So there's this one part where you're walking through a hall, and they actually have, like, the spores come at you, like the cordyceps spores, and I went, holy shit, that's a nice touch.
Was that the one where they had like the rain and like they had the spores actually in the
so
air?
That's what it was intended to be. It was intended to be like the mushroom spores or whatever. Then if you breathe that in, you're fucked. You're infected. So that was another cool touch, and they kind of sprinkle it in there throughout the rest of the house. So yeah, that was another thing.
I remember Sarah began, oh my god, it's the actual thing, and I'm like, that's really, and by the way, that's the type of shit, and that's the reason why you go to Halloween Horror Nights, is because it's not just because of the main stuff, it's all of the amazing little touches that they provide, and you go, how the fuck are you thinking of all this stuff? Even something as small detailed but so important to the story. And I also too, walking through a lab, you know, when you walk through that lab, you can see all of the scientific reports and all the warnings and all this stuff, and all this shit too reminded me very much of Left 4 Dead, with all the warning signs of, you know, don't open the doors, and like, you know, all this other shit, and shit spray painted on the walls, and the action and the involvement. It was, yeah, this is a fucking great house. And again, I don't have anything to attach it to, so that's why I'm giving it the rating. And maybe if I played the game, I probably would have been like, I probably wouldn't very much in Zach's camp of that. But because I'm untouched by everything, it was fucking great. It was great. So, and then last minute thoughts, because I know this was probably your favorite thing.
I was very much looking forward to the house, and I had a very good time with it. Like I said, definitely my favorite house of the year.
And honestly too, is probably the only. It's the longest wait for a reason. Because it is probably the best. It's probably the best house in the whole place.
It is.
Yeah. So last one is the Monsters Unmasked. This descend into the Paris catacombs and face a new horde of infamous monsters. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Phantom of the Opera, and the Invisible Man.
This was 90% Phantom of the Opera. I saw Invisible Man our second time around finally, because he was invisible the first time. But the fucking what's it called? Interesting. I'll take care of that in a minute. But the best part about this house is when you're walking into the house, because there's this guy on a balcony just like warning you and talking to you.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And him was just going back and forth. Both times we walked into this place, I'm like, oh Jesus Christ.
So that's what I was talking about earlier, and I was alluding to about actors being able to improvise. I was having too much fun with this fucking guy. He's like, it was the guy. I was having way too much fun with this dude. So the whole thing was you're walking into the era castle of Phantom of the Opera and all the different villains, and he was like an old timey, probably English guy. Is probably a cop that would have been in the era of Jekyll and Hyde, and he's literally like, you know, go, don't enter, and I was like fucking with him, and then literally he's like, don't enter, and I'm like, oh well, I was like, I gotta go, and he looked at me, he's like, well, you gotta go. I was having way too much fucking fun with this guy, and I remember Sarah being like, leave him alone. I'm like, I'm having fun with him. And actually, when we went in the second night, it was the same fucking guy. It was the same actor. And I remember he looked down. He's like, you're back, really? You made it alive through this? They and like, I remember like it was just so much fucking fun because he was commenting on everybody below, and I was like, yeah, dude, she's not gonna make it. And he's like.
Yeah. This is actually the first house we went to this year.
Was it really? Was it the first?
That was our first house that had the shortest line at the beginning. So we're like, "Fuck it, go there."
Yeah, that was the thing. Overall, okay house. I thought the Phantom of the Opera had a couple cool twists on it, like especially him kind of doing the Leatherface thing and grabbing a few extra faces and then nailing them on the wall. I thought that was cool. And then the Hunchback of Notre Dame thing, I thought was cool.
I didn't even realize that was a thing. The whole time, every time I turn around, I feel like, oh, there's more Phantom of the Opera. There's another Phantom of the Opera. Oh, look, it's Phantom of the New Face Opera. All right. Oh, we're in an opera house. What a fucking surprise here. Yo, Invisible Man, I know you're invisible, but you gotta make an appearance at some point. And you said Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde?
Yes,
Where the fuck were they?
Yeah, they
or he, whatever, I don't know.
The problem is that he was a little too close to the Phantom of the Opera, and like they did a whole transformation thing in front of one of the screens, and then the doctor actually came out and said run away, I'm gonna transform again. Which I thought it was very short. But if you did catch it, it was cool. And honestly, the Hunchback of Notre Dame was the coolest part because he was up in the bell tower and he was actually hung and he actually went down on a bungee and then came right back up. That was at the end. That was Hunchback.
So both times we walked through there, I saw the guy standing up there and I saw the cables and everything. He never jumped down for me.
Oh yeah,
I wasn't even sure who the hell he was.
Yeah, he jumped down both times for us.
That was the fucking Hunchback.
Yeah.
Sure as shit didn't look like it.
If you actually looked at it and everything else, it was very similar to like the novel and the old stuff. So, but overall, it was okay. It was an okay house. I think personally, I think it was a better house than the previous monster one because I think that fell into the same trap of the fucking dragons where they're like, these people are going to fight to the death and it's going to be a whole epic show. They didn't fucking fight.
Nope.
There's just one of them with their heads at the end.
Yep.
Like
every night it was different.
Yeah, and like when the fuck did you fight? Like when did that happen?
All you did was pop out and go boo at us the entire time. You didn't throw a punch.
Yeah, except for the one Dracula that got like super fucking close, and I'm like, whoa, I know what you had for lunch, bro.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But that being said, I'm like, I was like, wow, anything really could happen off screen. Anything. Even an awesome epic battle that happened. It's like that Family Guy joke with the fucking bees versus the owls. The 1,000-year war.
God, I want them to animate that at some point.
But it literally was nothing. It was just a giant. I'm glad they didn't go that route, and it just said, "Hey, they're here, they're hanging out, they're doing their thing." But overall, it was a good house. I think the best two parts though were the faces on the wall, the half faces, and then the Hunchback coming in. I'm sorry you missed that because it was kind of cool.
So I would say my favorite original house would have to be the one with the mascot this year. There was some cool, innovative shit like that, and I just had a solid time in it. And of course, my favorite copyright house or whatever would be The Last of Us.
So you wanted the So you wanted the Dr. Oddfellows? I thought you would have picked the Darkest Deal.
The hell was the Darkest Deal?
That was the Crossroads one.
Oh. I don't know. Like I said, the problem was so many of these houses to me were just meh or forgettable to the I don't care. Like they had cool stuff in them, but overall, I'm not going to remember these next year.
Fair enough.
I remember plenty from last year. I don't remember much from the first year. This year, I just whatever.
Fair enough. And then I think my two runners up for you know what, my runner up for the original house is definitely the Dr. Oddfellow's Twisted Origins, which is the theme house. I thought that was a fucking fever dream and a half, and I thought it was great. And then I think my favorite original house was the Darkest Deal, which is the Robert Johnson one. I think that was a great house. I think I will remember quite a bit about it, and then I think that's kind of been our criteria. Will you remember it or remember any part of it? And that's the mass majority of them, no, you don't. I definitely think that that's my my favorite one. And then the licensed and what was your favorite licensed one, Zach?
Oh, I already said Last of Us.
Sorry. The and honestly, I think that for me, a runner up would be The Exorcist. I thought that was fucking great.
Oh yeah.
And then I think that the ultimately my favorite one was The Last of Us. I thought that was the only one of all these houses that were bordering on great. The and I definitely recommend that. That's going to be your longest line. The but I want to say it's worth it. The I really do. The because it is the best house of the entire year. So all right, let's move on down to the very forgettable scare zones. The there's only one that's actually memorable. The rest of them are kind of whatever. The so
we walked through them.
We did in fact walk through them. The we were there. We were there.
Even the forest one this year was like, huh.
Yeah, even the forest one was kind of whatever. So I am going to save our favorite one for last, but let's get into this. Let's start with the entrance one, which was K, which was Dr. Oddfellow's collection of horrors. Dr. Oddfellow will lure you into Halloween Horror Nights with promises of immortality. You'll soon realize that you may not survive the night. And I think that this one might have, yes, you know what? The stage was a part of this one.
Yeah.
The so all right. Coolest part about this one was obviously the Halloween Horror Nights giant sign, and Dr. Oddfellow. Dr. Oddfellow as a character is actually pretty cool. The it's a cool character. He kind of runs around. He has a whole stage show that's over to the right when you first enter, and it is kind of cool. Like, it's a cool show. He's a good performer. He puts on a good show. Sarah got a picture with him. It was good, but overall, besides those things, it's very small. It's a very small place, and overall,
it's the entrance. Don't get your hopes up. It's cool. It's fun to walk into, but it is what it is.
That was a perfect cut, and Zach took the words right out of my mouth. So let's move on to the one that I believe is actually directly to the right of it, which is the Dark Zodiac. Dr. Oddfellows harness the power of the Zodiac to live forever, twisted signs into malevolent beings who will foretell your doom.
I just remember chainsaws here. That's it.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. The watching people get scared with chainsaws. The whole chainsaw crew was there.
Yep.
That was a lot of fun. There was a few like good floats there. A few people in cages, but I pay me $1 million. I couldn't fucking remember exactly what was going on in this house. I'm
nope.
The I'm sure it'll
Scare Zone, not house.
Yes, I'm sorry, Scare Zone. It'll show up in the footage, and then I'm sure it's playing right now, and you'll see what's going on. But I gotta tell you, if I didn't take the footage, I wouldn't have remembered. So let's move on to the Shipyard 32. Horrors unhinged. Enter a 1940 San Francisco shipyard full of mysterious creatures in cages. Beware Dr. Oddfellow's nightmarish oddities. This was where the Fisherman's Wharf thing and where Jaws the ride used to be. And
this one was worse than the entrance.
Yeah, it was very, very forgettable. A few cool things in cages and one very anticlimactic truck. Zach, you want to talk about the truck?
So first off, I barely remember seeing any scare actors here at all. We've walked through this one on 2 separate nights. There was a few actors the first night. Maybe there was a shift change. I don't know, but there was no actors the second time walking through it. Okay, now to the disappointing part.
This whole thing was disappointing.
I know. All right, so we entered from the west side of the scare zone, and on the east side, there's this truck with a set of bars behind it. We stood there for a good maybe minute or so, waiting for something to pop up. Every time we walked through the scare zone, we waited. Nothing happened. Nothing came out. Not an arm, not a thing of paint portrayed as blood, not a damn thing. It was just there. They had some sort of speaker in there to make it sound like there was a monster, but overall I'm like, that is such a wasted opportunity.
It was nothing. And I stand there with my camera like a moron. No, is it gonna come out? Like, looking at everybody else, it's like, is anything gonna come out like at all? No, nothing.
The crowd just goes, oh, well, all right, well, fuck it.
Yeah, I guess everybody forgot about it. So also, the reason why this one sucked is because they were all in cages. and they were limited to the amount of space that they could actually go.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, they were all in cages, and you saw a few people, and there was one guy that was like the tamer or the shipyard master.
I remember seeing him the first night. I did not see him the second night.
Neither did I. He must have been. Oh, speaking of which, hey Zach, how many shift changes did we see on this night?
Every house we went into, just people in robes, just walking in and out and in and out. I'm like, what is happening?
I've been going to this thing for 10 plus years. I have never seen that many. Every fucking house there was a shift change. I don't know if it was our timing or what it was.
We must have lined it up perfectly because last 2 years I've been here, never seen a shift change. This year, every house. Even the scare zones.
Yeah, even the scare zones. There's a shift change. I don't know how we did it. I don't know how we did. I want to say it was more specifically on Friday when we went to all the houses. Because obviously we saw all the houses. Yeah, that's the one
where we went to every single house.
Yeah, I have never seen that before in my life. I'm like, is anybody working at all? Like, does anybody work in this?
No, does anybody work more than an hour?
Yeah, it was. I was like, this is insane. And then also too it was funny to see. Oh yeah, and also there's some really strange TikTok thing that's been going on when they see the fucking bear from the Stranger Things house leave for a shift change. Everybody loses their fucking. Remember that when everybody was like losing their mind in the line?
Is that what the fuck that was about?
Yes, it was some. I saw it on TikTok and I'm like, this is the stupidest thing. Like a bunch of people, like as soon as they see the bear, they go, "Ah!" I'm like, we're all like, what the fuck is going on over there? The and you know, there's a bunch of idiot 20-year-olds over there. But yeah, we saw. I saw more. I mean, again. Zach and Sarah had only been going this is now the third year. I've been doing this a long time. I've never seen, and honestly, I gotta be honest, I didn't see a shift change until I went to the 30th anniversary. I had never seen at least I don't remember seeing a shift change, but yeah, I saw more shift changes than I ever saw ever again. I'm hoping that maybe I don't see as many because it kind of broken up the illusion, to say the least. I mean, don't get me wrong, they do a good job about like putting people in like robes so they don't see the costumes unless their costume was too fucking big. Then they just walk out. Like you can see a bunch of like spores, walking to their fucking break room, or a bunch of the the creatures from fucking
Yeti.
Yeah, I know it was all the Yetis, but also Stranger Things. You see a bunch of those creatures walking out and just chilling. And you're like, oh, that's that kind of fucks up the illusion. Anyway, the moving on. Let's go to. Yeah, an unfortunate one. The Jungle of Doom Expedition Horror. In the 1920s, Dr. Oddfellow ventured into the jungle, performing horrific experiments on nature. His creatures are coming after you. Normally, this is like the dynamite easy one because it's in the whole forest area. Overall, some cool theming with the 1920s stuff and the African expedition, but I have one word for you. For this. To switch this, actually, you can see he's fucking smiling right now. And that word is fog. So much fog.
Dude, that shit was fucking thick. So we walked through in the morning section, or there was still daylight out. And we're at the tail end of it. And we had to go back for some reason. I forgot why, but we had to track through it again. And we just get hit with this big cloud of the thickest fog I've ever seen in my life. And me and Sarah walking through it, we're just like, I can't see a fucking thing in front of me. Now that's cool. I like that. That's awesome. That adds some tension. And I really wish they would have played with it. But after like maybe a good 15, 20 seconds of walking, we could see everything again. What I wish they would have done is that was the whole forest area. And, you have to try to find your way out. Some of the scare actors, like, maybe they have, like, some sort of goggles or some shit where they could see you and fuck with you. But most importantly, I wish you could, like, veer off to the right or something completely on accident. So you're just hearing people fall into the lake that's right next door. That would have been hilarious.
A bunch of drunks go, oh, shit! Oh man, dude,
People
that's
just got done with a day
ridiculous.
at Epcot are now walking through fog.
Oh my god. Dude, all right, hold on. Like, okay, so like, it was like gonna turn into like the world's largest game of Marco Polo in there. Like, I was waiting for people to bust out, literally, and I'm walking through the fog, by the way, and like it just felt like goosebumps. And I'm thinking it, and then Zach literally is in front of me. Can't see him. Can't, and I can't stress to you enough how, and this is the disappointing part, you couldn't see anyone fucking next to you at one point. You were like so thick you couldn't see anything. So there was nothing to be scared of because you couldn't fucking see anything. And literally I hear Zach like 5 feet in front of me. You couldn't see him. He's like, 10 more smoke machines, otherwise I walk. And I almost fell into the lake laughing. But like literally a classic scare technique for a lot of these actors is walking next to people like that are not paying attention, and then like you turn and go ah. The problem is that you couldn't, even if they were walking next to you, you wouldn't know. You would have no idea. This is what happens when you do too much. And like I'm glad that earlier in the day I got to see some of the props and some of the costumes, because there was some cool stuff. A couple African tribal people moves. There was some cool stuff going on, but yeah, you couldn't see anything because the fog was so fucking thick. Is that anything more you want to add on this one?
It needed more fog.
It had enough fog. If it had any more fog, we would still be in that fucking scare zone trying to find our way back.
It's fine by me.
All right, there we go. By the way, in case anybody was wondering, I got my trusty map. Reading all these. And now the one we actually liked, which was Vamp 69 Summer of Blood, or AKA, what was the other name, Zach?
Nixon's Nightmares.
It's too many chains doing drugs, and then now they're all vampires. Futurama has ruined that man's legacy. But that's neither here nor there. All right. At a music fest in a small New York town that isn't Woodstock, wink, wink. You'll jam with concert goers until Dr. Oddfellow unleashes bloodthirsty vampires onto the crowd. This is really simple. The actors were having fun, so we were having fun. It was a very enjoyable, fun fucking scare zone. Like, the music that they were playing was very of the time. They had a cool bus with some screens, some shadow screens, and you see like somebody getting eaten alive in there, and then blood splashes on the windows. There was a lot of cool stuff going on. I think my only criticism is that they had a big stage, but nobody was using it. I don't know if we missed it, but overall, great fucking time. But it really was because the actors were making it. If the actors weren't making it fun, it would have been just as forgettable as the rest of these. But they were actually having fun. They were interacting with everybody. There was one guy that was like a victim, and I was literally like doing the camera, and he's like, What do you need to film? Like, and I'm like, all of this. And he's like, well, just don't film me, all right? It's annoying. And then walked away. I'm like you're a dick. And then the one guy one of the vampire actors actually is like, it's like, what's your blood type? I'm like, I don't know. Like, you want to find out? And I'm like, I guess. And he's like, come with me. And literally brought me over, and he got distracted by some hot chick. So I was like, oh, good time for me to run away. But again, you look at Zach and me, we're laughing, like having a good time remembering this because it was fun. It was a fun house. Zach, go ahead.
No, that's really as simple as it is. It was fun. The scare actors were interacting with people. Everyone was having a good fucking time.
Yeah, you were the one who brought up the criticism, though, about the concert, though.
Yeah, because you have this big stage right there. So there's so many opportunities for somebody to actually be playing music this year. That's the one thing I've noticed. You have several opportunities. Not a single person decided to take advantage of it. But yeah, it's like just perform comedy, play music, do something. The stage is clearly there. Use it.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing though. And at least in the Robert Johnson house, they at least pretended to play music. Here they didn't even pretend. Like it was just
They just had speakers and stuff.
yeah, it was
Music.
it was an empty stage. But I will say it's the best soundtrack from any scare zone I've ever heard of. It was actually really good, with the exception of the two best soundtracks I ever heard in the history of Halloween Horror Nights was that one and the Werewolf in London house from years ago that had a really really good soundtrack. But overall, definitely, Zach, do I even need to ask which our favorite scare zone was? I think it was definitely the hippie Woodstock vampire awesomeness that was that scare zone. It was great. The rest of them were, I can't remember them. And you're gonna remember more because you're seeing the fucking footage. If the footage wasn't recorded, I wouldn't have remembered it, Zach.
Yeah.
The only other thing I wanted to add, because it was cool, is the tribute store. Tribute store always does something unique, and I think this year was no different. And actually, I would say it was really, really cool. It was a comic book themed, and it was all related to fish people in the 1930s, and
very Lovecraftian. And if I'm getting this correctly, it looked like the whole store itself was a comic book.
It was,
because like they had panels as you go from room to room telling a story and everything and I wasn't following it because I was too busy looking at all the merch.
Exactly.
But I thought that was really cool, and they were even selling individual comics and stuff like that too, which if I would have bought if they would have had a price tag on it. But I was like, no, in this place, this comic probably costs anywhere from $20 to $30. No, thank you.
And speaking of a Futurama moment of shut up and take my money, there was a whole wall of comics with random people being animated into the comics. And we asked, we were making fun of it, and somebody passed by and they're like, yeah, these people paid to be in these. Like, what? These people paid to be in the tribute store? Like, what? Like no one's going to give a shit or pay attention. We don't get me wrong. It was cool. It was cool. And what was the comic that they were doing? It was Fright something, or
I don't remember.
I have one. I have one. It's over there. I'll look up the thing later. But it was, I'm sure Zach will put it right here to correct me. But overall, it was really cool. It had that good theming, and then they eventually did have a giant Cthulhu at the end, which was pretty fucking cool. But also, but a very interactive story. It's always, the tribute store always does well. I have yet to walk into a tribute store and be like, yeah, that's lame. The tribute store always has something unique to offer.
Agreed.
That pretty much wraps up 2023. I think I still stand by my overall opinion about this, is that it's definitely a rebuilding year. And I think Zach got the opportunity to see what I've seen over the years, because I gotta be honest, if I remember all these different years, I can only remember a handful of really memorable haunted houses, and I've probably been in a lot through Halloween Horror Nights, and overall it was okay. The average beat line was okay. Zach.
Yeah. Essentially agree.
I will say this though, it definitely did not deter me from ever going again though.
Oh, no.
This is nothing was bad. It wasn't getting to the point that if every house was like that one scene in Stranger Things where it was just empty and cheap and everything, I would be very, very upset, and I'd probably continue. If it was that one little hallway in Stranger Things that
that fucking cable.
I know that cable's awful. I gotta toss it. If everything was like that one empty space in the Stranger Things, I'd be pissed, and then probably maybe they finally lost their touch. Maybe it's time to start moving. But then, they save it with that whole thing with the spores, coming out, in the Last of Us house, and that really immersive effect. And then they're like, oh, well, then they won my business once again. So I'll definitely be going back next year. It's not going to stop. And then go forth. So you get to do your sign off for the last time on MHN. Go ahead, and then I'll do mine.
Shit.
I just put a little weight on that. I just put a little weight on that.
Supposed to start this part. Well, at the end of the day, you will still be able to find the main podcast on Spotify. I'm just going to be rebranding that name. Our new channel will be up sometime within the next couple months. We're moving in January. Everything should be hopefully up and operational by March or February is, what we're hoping. But we got to rebuild everything, get moved in, get situated, and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I gotta redo all this. If you want to, I gotta go to the wide camera.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I gotta redo this all in a new space. Obviously, we're gonna take all this shit with us and everything else. But obviously, I'm moving out of this space. This, for anybody who doesn't know, this was the basement of my house. I was the only one who had the space, and it's literally just a corner of the basement. But it served its purpose, to say the least.
Yeah, I live in this city. I don't have space for shit like this. So, yeah, just keep an eye out. And other than that, it's been, well, I mean, what the fuck am I saying? It's been fun. We'll be back up in a few goddamn months. This isn't the end of the world. We're moving. We're not leaving completely. Trying to make this shit all emotional. We're just moving to a new fucking channel.
You give me all emotional as shit. So
we're not dead.
And ain't gonna happen anytime soon.
I got
But
another 10 years maybe.
shut the fuck up. You're as bad as my grandparents. We're gonna die tomorrow. No, you're not. You're fine. Anyway. Yeah, this has been a wonderful, wonderful ride. And no, like Zach was saying, this ain't over. This is just the beginning. This happens to be the end of this particular chapter, but it has been a ride. It's been quite the ride over the last 5 years, and and it's evolved, and it just started with us being pissed off. The whole thing started out with us being upset at other producers because we were too busy. We were upset with us waiting on them, and we're like, we can fucking do this. And that's been our motto that this whole time. If somebody else can do it, we can do it. And that's kind of been our challenging war cry for this entire time, and I'm gonna continue that into the foreseeable future. But this started out with a couple guys that were very talented guys, and they still are very talented guys, and they said, we're tired of waiting on somebody else, and let's make a horror short. And we did it at my house, my childhood home that I grew up in, and it evolved into a podcast. And then it evolved into multiple different shows, and then other episodes, other narrative content, and just snowballed into this really, really cool thing that we did. And I'm very proud of it. And to sign off for the last time, I'm Mark Conaway with the MHN, and thank you guys very, very much for tuning in. We really appreciate you, and we'll see you over at the other channel. Please make sure you go on and check out Brandon's channel. All the information is below. It really does have awesome content in there. I don't want to I don't, he's not here, but I don't want to discount, excuse me. Don't want to discount his contribution to this channel, which has been immense. It has been immense. He's the reason why a lot of this stuff looks fantastic. He came up with the name, came up with a lot of the different concepts. The Screaming Room was entirely edited by him, took care of all the color correction. He's done a tremendous amount of work, and he's continuing to do great work over on his channel. Please go check it out. A lot of cool stuff with Tales from the Crypt and Simpsons and other different horror aspects. A lot of good stuff. So thank you so much, and thank you for watching, and we'll see you. We'll see you next time on our other podcast. But for the last time, this has been the Nightmares Podcast. Bye, guys.